Okay. So, uh, yesterday I sent you a message. I think your mother should have talked with you about it.
Yes.
Okay. So just try, okay?
Okay.
Uh, see. Uh, when you have a core subject, right?
Right.
I told you about the structure of how the core subject textbook is arranged, right?
Okay. Right.
So, if, for example, if you have something in maths,
Okay.
first they'll give the introduction. First there'll be the title of the chapter, like polynomials.
Okay.
Then there'll be an introductory paragraph about what a polynomial is.
Right.
And then second paragraph, they'll have something about the first theorem or the first rule.
Okay.
So the first theorem or the first rule will have an example or two examples.
Okay.
So you can understand the rule or the theorem with the help of the examples.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
I went over your PDFs of economics and business studies.
Okay.
So I just we'll just go over this. First, we'll go over a part of one chapter in economics.
Okay.
Okay. So, see, for example, if you come to the PDF on economics, which I sent you yesterday,
Okay.
you come to the tutor marked assignment.
Tutor mark assignment. I can't find it, sir.
Wait.
Yeah. I found it. Okay.
Yeah, not tutor marked assignment. Wait. I sent you another link yesterday below the economics textbook. Share
Okay.
Google. See, in that link, if you open it,
Yes.
it tells you tutor marked assignment 40% of syllabus, public examination 60% of syllabus.
Okay.
So total lessons in the public examination is 14.
14.
Yeah. So we have lesson 3, goods and services, right?
Right.
For a public examination.
Yes.
So we'll see what that is. Come to the PDF on economics.
Okay.
Okay. Then, come to lesson 3, goods and services.
Okay.
Click on that. Okay.
Okay.
So before you start, you must understand what goods and services are. Or rather what understanding you have. Goods, like whatever goods you get in shops, like rice, wheat, sugar, oil, okay?
Right.
Or you
Okay.
can also think of more expensive things like cars, okay?
Okay.
Accessories, leather accessories,
Right.
jeans, t-shirts, all these are goods,
Right.
okay?
Okay.
And then services. What are services? For example, who serves society? A policeman is known as a public servant, right?
Right.
So services means one who serves. It can be society or one who offers services.
Right.
Right? A doctor offers services, right?
Right.
So with this understanding, we'll read the chapter, okay?
Okay.
Now, see, what they say, you have learned that human wants are unlimited and insatiable. Insatiable means they cannot be satisfied.
Okay.
Now, that part comes in lesson 1, human wants.
Right.
Okay, so human wants. What are wants? Whatever you want. It can be something like sweets, or it can be something like clothes, or it can be something like, anything, cars.
Right.
So these wants are unlimited. If you get one sweet, you want another, more expensive.
Right.
So whatever wants we have, no doubt they're correct because we can't say that we should not have wants, right?
Right.
But the more you satisfy the wants, the more wants come up, right?
Right.
So human wants are unlimited and insatiable. They cannot be satisfied. Okay.
Okay.
Now, how did you understand that statement? You went to lesson one where they speak about want. Wants is something that you need, right? Really desire like.
Right.
So you understood the meaning of wants, you understood the meaning of insatiable. You can look it up in a dictionary.
Right.
So these two are the content words in the sentence. Content words means if you know the meaning of these two, and the remaining words uh, are are ordinary, right? You have learned that human are unlimited, and those words are you can understand them easily.
Right.
So if you understand wants and insatiable, you understood the meaning of the sentence, right?
Right.
Now, next sentence. Now the question is, how many of our wants can be satisfied and how can they be satisfied? How many of our wants can be satisfied and how can they be satisfied? How many and how they can be satisfied, right? So now this is the opening paragraph. It's a paragraph of two sentences, right?
Right.
Now the next paragraph will expand upon this. See, human wants are satisfied by goods and services. See, look at the second sentence. Now the question is, how many of our wants can be satisfied, right?
Right.
So in this second paragraph per sentence, it tells us human wants are satisfied by goods and services, okay,
Okay.
which are carried through various economic activities. Now, economic, money. You pay money for goods or services and you receive the goods or services.
Right.
So, how are these goods and services carried? Through economic activities, exchange of money. Okay?
Okay.
In this lesson, you will learn about the terms of goods and services. Terms means what conditions, right?
Right.
And also, next, types of goods and services. Types. So, there may be one or two or more types of goods and services. Okay?
Okay.
And significance of goods and services in relation to production, consumption, and investment and human wants. Okay?
Okay.
So, terms of goods and services, types of goods and services, and significance. Significance means what importance they have, isn't it?
Yes.
So, in relation to production, production of what? Production of goods, like you produce rice, packaged rice, packaged wheat, packaged sugar, packaged milk. Okay?
Okay.
How do you produce them? What about the consumption? Who consumes them? Who consumes the rice? Who consumes the wheat? Right?
Right.
Investment. So to produce the goods, you need investment because you need machinery,
Right.
right? And you need a network of dealers, all that, all over the country. You need, to send your goods which you produced in your factory all over the country. So that requires investment, right?
Okay. Right.
And human wants, right? So what is the relation of why are goods and services provided? Because of human wants, right?
Right.
So you understood how the introduction is
Yes.
framed, right?
Right.
Okay. So next, after completing this lesson, objectives will read. Objectives means what are the goals? After completing this lesson, you will be able to explain the terms goods and services. Now, this is important because they ask you what are goods and services in the exam. So you must be
Right.
able to explain the terms goods and services. Okay?
Okay.
Then identify various types of goods and services. Okay, so we understand there are two or more types of goods and services. We'll be able to identify that, right?
Okay. Right.
And distinguish between goods and services. Distinguishes means goods is not the same as services, right?
Right.
So you must be able to tell the difference, distinguish between goods and services, okay?
Okay.
Then understand the basis for different types of goods and services. So what is the basis, right?
Right.
So that's what we'll understand, right?
Right.
So in case you don't understand this, we can read the next part. So whatever follows in 3.1, look below that, 3.1 goods and services. Whatever follows in 3.1, 3.2, and 3.3, okay,
Okay.
they will all expand upon this, right?
Right.
Okay, so that is how the lesson is structured, okay?
Okay.
Next, know about the free and economic goods and services. Free goods, free services, and economic goods and economic services, okay?
Okay.
Next, make out the difference between consumer and producer goods and services. Right? So we have consumer goods, consumer services, and
Right.
producer goods and producer services. So we'll be able to make out the difference between consumer and producer goods and services. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Explain how goods can be single use or durable use. So what do you mean
Right.
by single-use goods? You can only use for one time, right?
Right.
And durable use means you can repeatedly use them, right?
Right.
Okay. Next, differentiate between public goods and private goods. So what are public? So public means everyone can use them. Private goods
Okay.
means they're owned by privately, right?
Right.
So next, goods and services. So we start with the definition, right?
Right.
So in our daily life, we come across a variety of goods and services, right?
Right.
So what are these? When we are hungry, we take food, okay?
Okay.
Now that's understood. When we're thirsty, we take water, right?
Right.
In a similar way, we need many goods such as pen and paper to write, house to live in, chairs to sit on, a washing machine to wash the clothes, a television to watch a program, etc., right?
Right.
All these are the examples of goods that satisfy our wants, right?
Right.
Okay, so all these, want a pen and paper to write, house to live in, chairs to sit, a washing machine, television, all these are examples of goods that satisfy our wants. So what are the wants? Wants is paper and pen means to want to communicate. House means primarily to live in, right?
Right.
Chairs to be comfortable. All those are wants,
Right.
right? But goods alone are not sufficient to fulfill our wants. So only goods alone are not sufficient to fulfill our wants. Okay? So
Okay.
what else do we need? We need the services of different people for different jobs. See, if you say you want a house, okay?
Okay.
Who are the people who build the house? You need a mason, you need a carpenter, you need a plumber, you need so many different types of occupations, right? People
Right.
who practice different occupations. So, goods alone are not sufficient to fulfill our wants. See, for example, even if you take something like washing machine, right?
Right.
Or house, as I said. The house, like washing machine means we need someone to come and install it. We need someone to come and repair it. We need someone to come and instruct us on how to use it, right?
Right.
Goods alone are not sufficient to fulfill our wants. We need the services of different people for different jobs, right?
Right.
So what are these different people? For example, we require a hairdresser to cut our hair. If we cut our hair, it'll look awkward, right?
Right.
So we need, these are the different types of people. We're talking about people now, services of different people, right?
Right.
A doctor to cure us, a tailor to stitch our clothes, a cobbler for mending our shoes, etc. Right?
Right.
So these are the different types of services. These are a few examples of services that satisfy our wants. Both goods and services satisfy human wants, right?
Right.
So finally, what does it say? Goods and services satisfy human wants. These goods and services are as diverse as our wants. Diverse means different.
Right.
Okay, we need to be comfortable. We need to be warm. We need to eat. Okay, all these are
Okay.
wants. So all the goods and services are as different as our wants. Okay.
Okay.
Now you understood what the goods and services are, right?
Right.
Now 3.2 distinction between goods and services, right?
Right.
So look at the objectives. The third point. Okay.
Okay.
So third point is distinguish between goods and services. So that's where we are now, right?
Right.
Now that we know that both goods and services are important to satisfy human wants, right?
Right.
Let us understand how both are different from each other. How are they different from each other? Okay?
Okay.
The main point of distinction are, so what are the main points about goods? What are the main points about services? So goods, what are goods? Goods are tangible in nature. Tangible means they can be seen and touched. See,
Yes.
if you say chair, you can see a chair and you can touch it. Right?
Okay. Right.
If you say pen and paper, you can see paper and you can touch. Pen also you can see and touch. House, all those things, right? Television, okay?
Okay.
All those can be seen and touched. So they're tangible in nature. Now you understood what tangible means, right? Tangible means they can be seen and touched, okay?
Okay.
There is a time gap between production and consumption of goods as they are produced first and consumed later. Now, you take one example, chair, right?
Right.
Chair is a goods, example of goods, right?
Right.
Now, how do you apply this second part? There is a time gap between production and consumption of goods. When you produce a chair, right?
Right.
It takes time to put all the parts of the chair together, armrest, back, wheels maybe, cushions, right?
Right.
Consumption means whoever uses the chair. It will go into a showroom maybe, right?
Right.
And then customers have to come in to buy it, right?
Right.
So there's a time gap between production and consumption of goods. Even if you take fast moving consumer goods, that is FMCGs as they're known, right? Like soap.
Right.
Soap, it's very fast. One soap, one bar of soap, two bars of soap, they keep moving, right?
Right.
As opposed to furniture, which is slow moving, right? So FMCGs, fast moving consumer goods, also they have a time gap between production and consumption, right?
Right.
As they're produced first and consumed later. Consumed means not necessarily eaten, right? They can also be used. For example, soap. Use of soap to bathe, right?
Right.
Right. So they can be stored and utilized when required, right? Obvious. You apply to one chair, soap, television. They can be stored and utilized when required, right?
Right.
They can be transferred from one place to another, right? So you can pick them up and move them. Chair, soap, television, okay? So let us take an example of any one good, say chair, right?
Right.
You can see a chair and you can also touch it. So that's the first one. Goods are tangible in nature. They can be seen and touched, right?
Right.
The carpenter first makes it in his workshop. You use it after purchasing it from the market. So there is a time gap between production and consumption of goods as they are produced first and consumed later, right?
Right.
So there is a time gap between production of chair and its consumption. Consumption again doesn't necessarily mean that it's eaten. When you consume something, you consume food, for example, right? Here it's not only eating, it is also using, right?
Right.
So if suppose you do not require the chair immediately, you can keep it in your store and can use it when you require it. So that's the third point. They can be stored and utilized when required, right?
Right.
You can give it to yourself, you can give it or sell it to another person. So they can be transferred from one place to another, from one person to another, right?
Right.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right?
Right.
With example. So they given the rule, then they given the example. Okay?
Okay.
So services. What are services? Services are non-tangible in nature, right?
Right.
That is, they can be neither seen nor be touched, right?
Right.
So there is no time gap between the production and consumption of services. That is why they're produced and consumed simultaneously. Now suppose you didn't understand this, right?
Right.
Let's look at the example. Look at the next paragraph. Let us consider the example of services of a doctor, right?
Right.
It says the doctor examines a patient and writes the medicine. Okay?
Okay.
Now he has delivered a service for the treatment of the patient, which we cannot see or touch, right?
Right.
So services are non-tangible in nature. They can be neither seen nor touched. Okay?
Okay.
Next, there is no time gap between the production and consumption of service. Point 2. That is why they produce and consume simultaneously. What does it say about that in the next paragraph? The moment he examines the patient, right?
Right.
He has delivered his services which is consumed by the patient. So there's no time gap. He examines and delivers the prescription, right?
Right.
So there is no time gap between production and consumption of services, okay?
Okay.
Now what's the third? Services cannot be stored. Transfer of service is not possible. Now this service cannot be stored or transferred. That's the last point of the next paragraph, right?
Right.
So next in-text question will come back to that, right?
Right.
So 3.3, classification of goods and services, okay?
Okay.
So we know that different types of enterprises produce different types of goods. Enterprises means factories, okay? Shops,
Okay.
right?
Right.
We know that different types of enterprises produce different types of goods and services, right? Okay.
Right.
It is not possible to study them individually because there are so many types of enterprises. Factories for making all sorts of goods, steel, automotive product, oil, so many types of enterprises, so many types of shops. It's not possible to study them individually, right?
Right.
Therefore, to understand them properly, we have to classify them in a number of broad groups, right?
Right.
This classification can be done in many ways. Okay?
Okay.
So, what are the ways? We'll see. This classification helps us to understand the relative economic significance of different goods. Relative economic significance of different goods. Economic means mainly money, right?
Right.
Relative economic significance means difference in prices of different goods.
Right.
So when we classify them, we'll see how the price plays a part. Okay?
Okay.
So we're talking about classification, so it says we'll study the following classifications, right?
Right.
So free goods and economic goods. That's one type of classification. What they are, we'll see in the next paragraph, right?
Right.
Free services and economic services, right?
Right.
Goods free, goods economic, services free, services economic.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
Third type is consumer goods and producer goods. Okay? Consumer services and producer services. Okay?
Okay.
Single-use goods and durable-use goods, private goods and public goods. Okay?
Okay.
Now, next paragraph, next one, next page, you see free goods and economic goods. So, what are free goods and economic goods? Okay?
Okay.
So, it says, let us assume you're in a desert. So, we'll imagine we're in a desert, right?
Right.
If you fill a bag with sand, you need not pay any price, right?
Right.
Desert is so full of sand, you don't have to pay a price for a bag of sand, right?
Okay. Right.
But otherwise in the city, you have to pay for it because there's no sand in the city, right?
Right.
So this example helps us to differentiate the free good from an economic good. So how can we differentiate a free good from an economic good? See, free goods are free gifts of nature, right?
Okay. Right.
Like sand. Or you can take the example of stone, okay, in a mountain, in a quarry, air, like that, right?
Right.
They are available in abundance, that is in unlimited quantity, and the supply is much more than the demand. So demand means, suppose someone comes up with a new type of sweet, right?
Okay.
So there may be a great demand for the sweet. Means the supply of the sweet has to match the demand.
Okay.
Okay. So these free goods, they're unlimited in quality and the supply is much more than the demand. So think of the sand, okay? Or you can think of air, right?
Okay. Right.
You don't have to pay anything to get them. That's why they're free, right?
Right.
So we understand that when the supply is much more than the demand, it's almost free, right?
Right.
That is why they're called free goods. In short, we can define free goods as goods which possess utility. Utility means use, right?
Right.
But which are not scarce. Not scarce means they're not limited. They're unlimited, right? To
Right.
take one example, air, water, right?
Right.
If you go to a stream, a river, okay,
Okay.
it's unlimited, right? Freshwater
Right.
stream. Anyway, next, in our daily life, we use toothpaste, soap, shaving cream, footwear, bread, etc. Right?
Right.
These goods are man-made and the supply is not unlimited. So there's no unlimited supply of toothpaste. There's a lot of it, but it's not unlimited.
Okay.
Okay, soap also there's a lot of it, but not unlimited. Similarly, next sentence. Similarly, we use machines, buses, tables, chair, books, fans, television, etc.
Okay.
Right? They too are man-made, and their supply is not unlimited. Right?
Right.
We use water for various purposes at home, right?
Right.
Sand for construction and different minerals in different forms. Minerals means like salt, right?
Right.
Now these are not man-made but free gifts of nature. See, water is a free gift of nature. We use it for different purposes at home. Sand
Okay.
is also not man-made. It's available freely from nature. And minerals, right?
Right.
They're free gifts of nature, okay?
Okay.
But because they're scarce, that is, the demand is much more than the supply. So what does it say? The demand is much more than the supply. See,
Right.
sand for construction, right?
Right.
You cannot find it in the city where
Okay.
there's a great deal of demand for construction.
Okay.
Water also is not available in the city.
Right.
It is, okay, so because the demand is much more than the supply in the city, okay,
Okay.
they command a price and are not freely available. They are the economic goods.
Okay.
Okay, so you understood the difference between free goods and economic goods, right?
Right.
Economic goods are those goods man-made or free gifts of nature, right?
Right.
Goods which are man-made or free gifts of nature, whose demand is more than the supply. Okay?
Okay.
They command a price and they can be bought in the market. Okay?
Okay.
So we finish free goods and economic goods. Now we'll come to free services and economic services.
Okay.
In case of services too, there are free services and economic services. So what are free services? Free services are those which cannot be bought in the market and which are rendered due to love, affection, etc. So what are the services rendered given due to love, affection, etc.? Example, services of parents for their children, right?
Right.
All these services, all those services which can be bought in the market are economic services, such as
Right.
services of doctors, right?
Right.
Doctors, engineers, etc. Okay?
Okay.
The rest of the classification of goods and services deal only with economic goods and services.
Okay.
So next, consumer goods and producer goods, right?
Right.
Is a third classification. Okay?
Okay.
This classification is based on the purpose for which a particular good is used. So here we're talking about the purpose. Okay?
Okay.
Consumer goods are those goods which satisfy the wants of the consumer directly. Okay?
Right.
Now
Okay.
that is the definition. What are the examples? They're goods which are used for consumption. For example, bread, fruits, milk, clothes, etc. Now you see, bread. They're used for consumption, right? Bread is used for consumption. Okay?
Okay.
Fruits are also used for consumption. Milk, clothes are used for consumption. Okay?
Okay.
So, I'll read it again from the second sentence. Consumer goods are those goods which satisfy the want of the consumer directly. So, bread satisfies the want of the consumer, it satisfies his hunger directly. Right?
Right.
Fruits also satisfy the want of the consumer directly. Okay, milk, clothes, they satisfy the wants of the consumer directly. Okay.
Okay.
Now, what are producer goods? Producer goods are those goods which satisfy the want of consumers indirectly. Right? Now, what is example? As they help in producing other goods, they're known as producer goods. What is example? For example, machinery. See, machinery, okay, no doubt you can buy it in the market. Okay? You can buy grinder, for example, right?
Right.
But they help in producing other goods. For example, grinder helps in producing chutney. Pressure cooker helps in cooking rice,
Right.
right? So, for example, machinery, tools, okay, all these tools, spanner, screwdriver, okay?
Okay.
So all these are known as producer goods. They used to produce other goods. From the
Okay.
name, producer goods, they used to produce other goods.
Right.
Seeds are used to produce plants. For example, paddy seeds, wheat seeds, right?
Right.
Sugarcane seeds, manure to, fertilize the soil, right?
Right.
And tractor, etc., are all examples of producer goods. They all produce other types of goods, right?
Right.
Now, 3A, intermediate goods. Raw materials, power, fuels, etc., used by producer for further production of final goods and services are also called intermediate goods. See, if you have a machine like a scooter, right?
Right.
You need fuel for that.
Okay.
So, a scooter is used to move us around. We use
Right.
it. But to use a scooter, we need fuel.
Okay.
So, in between the use and the producer good, there is intermediate. Intermediate. What is the meaning of intermediate? In between, right?
Right.
Right. Example, what wheat flour is an intermediate good in the production of bread in the bakery, right?
Right.
Okay. Next, consumer services and producer services. Okay.
Okay.
Here too, the basis of classification is the same as that of goods. So what is the basis of classification? We had consumer goods and producer goods. Now we're
Right.
talking about consumer services and producer services.
Okay.
So it's the same basis of classification as goods, right?
Right.
When the consumers or the households directly use services, directly they use the services, they're known as consumer services. Okay? What is example? For example, services of a tailor stitching your shirt, or services of a doctor giving treatment, or services of a plumber repairing your leaking tap, etc. Okay, those are the
Right.
examples. Now see, so services of a tailor stitching your shirt. Okay,
Okay.
so consumers directly use the services. That is a consumer service.
Okay.
Plumber repairing your leaking tap, the households directly use the services, right?
Right.
I'm tying the examples to the definition of the previous sentences.
Okay.
Okay. Next, producer services. Next paragraph. Producer services, on the other hand, are used to produce other goods and services,
Right.
which are in turn demanded by the consumers. In other words, producer services satisfy the human wants indirectly. For example, a tailor stitches a shirt for a ready-made garment shop. Ready-made garment shop. See, so see, the tailor produces a good like a shirt, right?
Right.
The shirt goes into the garment shop.
Okay.
So the service is indirectly used.
Right.
Okay. Okay. An electrician repairs a fault in the electric supply in a production unit, or even a truck transporting raw materials to a factory. See, uh, so the truck driver is giving a producer service, but they used to produce other goods and services. The truck carries goods, like raw materials,
Right.
and they used to produce something in the factory, which is in turn demanded by the consumers.
Okay.
Okay, so that is what producer services are, right?
Right.
Next, 5 single-use and durable-use goods. Okay, so what are the? I think you can understand from the name itself.
Yes.
Single-use and durable-use. Durable-use means I can give example of clothes, right? You
Right.
can repeatedly use them. Shoes, repeatedly use them. Single-use means something like something you burn, like candle, right?
Okay. Right.
Or matchstick, right?
Right.
So all types of goods, whether consumer goods or the producer goods, are further classified into single-use and durable-use goods, right?
Right.
Single-use goods are those goods which can be used only once, right? From the name itself, you can understand.
Right.
They're finished only in one use, right?
Right.
For example, bread, you use it only once, right?
Okay.
Butter, egg, milk, etc. are all single-use consumer goods, as are consumed immediately and once and for all, right?
Right.
Similarly, single-use producer goods are exhausted in one production process. For example, coal. Coal is used to produce electricity, right?
Okay. Right.
It used to produce electricity, it used to produce heating, right?
Right.
So single-use producer goods. Raw materials, seeds. Seeds, once a plant is grown, that seed is used.
Right.
Seed is used to produce a plant, manure, etc., right?
Right.
To elaborate, to detail it further, let us take the example of production of sugar, right?
Right.
Here the raw material is sugarcane, which is used only once, right? Once they crush the sugarcane, it's a single-use, single-use goods, right?
Right.
Next, durable-use goods are those goods which can be used again and again for a long period of time. Okay?
Okay.
There is durable-use consumer goods as well as durable-use producer goods. Durable-use consumer goods are cloth. So consumers, we use cloth, furniture, televisions, scooter, etc.
Right.
that can be used by the consumer again and again, right?
Right.
Durable-use producer goods are used in production again and again. For example, machines. Machines are obviously used to, produce so many things again and again. In factories, even a grinder, pressure cooker are all example of durable use producer goods. Right?
Right.
Tools, tractors, and implements or instruments. This does not mean that repeated use of these goods does not make any difference to them. So if you keep using a scooter repeatedly, it makes a difference because it will wear out, right?
Right.
So it does make a difference to them. In fact, the value of these goods gets depreciated. Depreciated means it gets lowered after continuous use. So if you use a scooter continuously, the second-hand price will come down, right?
Right.
So private goods and public goods. So these are last type, I think. Right?
Right.
Okay. So what are producer goods, private goods and public goods? Goods can be classified on the basis of their ownership. Okay?
Yes. Okay.
All goods that are privately owned are exclusively enjoyed by individuals or called private goods.
Right.
For individuals, they're called private goods. For example, all the goods owned by you are private goods. So whatever you own, they are your private goods. This includes your watch, pen, scooter, books, table, chair, bed, clothes, etc. If you own a factory, then it's building, machinery, tools, etc. are your private goods. Okay?
Okay.
Public goods are those goods which are owned by, enjoyed by the society as a whole. Right?
Right.
For example, roads, bridges, park, town hall. Park is used by everyone. Bridges are used by everyone, right?
Right.
Roads are used by everyone, are all collectively owned, right? We all own them together, right?
Right.
They are available to all people in the society without any discrimination. That is, no one is denied from consumption of public goods. Okay?
Okay.
So anybody can use any road, anybody can use any park, right?
Right.
Both government and private entrepreneurs may produce public goods. So both government and private and entrepreneurs are those who start industries, right?
Right.
Factories. Government entrepreneurs and private entrepreneurs may produce public goods. So a road can be produced by a private firm or it can be produced by a government firm, right?
Right.
Okay. Next. Uh, Role, next on page 20, right?
Right.
Role and significance of goods and services in an economy. Okay?
Okay.
Goods and services have a multi-dimensional role to play in an economy. Multi-dimensional means there are many roles to play. Okay? Their role can be stated in relation to human wants. Right?
Right.
So what does it mean? You study that human wants are unlimited. Right? And they are also ever increasing. Right? So the more you satisfy, the more the wants increase. Right?
Right.
It means it's the availability of different goods and services like clothes, shoes, furniture, utensils. Utensils are vessels in the house. Television, scooter, fruits, vegetables, food grains, and services of a doctor, plumber, electrician increases. It will satisfy more human wants. Right? If this production increases, more humans will be satisfied. Right?
Right.
Production. We require consumer goods and services to satisfy increasing human wants. Right?
Right.
But this increase in availability of consumer goods and services depends on the increased availability of producer goods and services. So if you want rice, you need a machine to produce rice. Right?
Right.
So producer goods and services should be available increasingly. That is when consumer goods and services will be increased.
Right.
Will be used increasingly. Right?
Right.
We can produce more if we have more better machinery, raw material, tractors, seeds, manure, etc. Similarly, we require more of transportation services, banking and insurance services. Right?
Right.
Thus, it is the quantity and quality of producer goods and services that will determine the availability of consumer goods and services in the market. So see, producer goods. What are producer goods? Machines, better machinery, it says. So The more machines there are, the more, for example, rice will be produced, packaged rice.
Right.
So, consumer goods are determined by the availability of producer goods and services in the market. Okay?
Okay.
Next, third one, investment. Increase in the production of goods and services will also determine the level of investment. So if you want to produce more goods, you need more investment, right? If you want to produce more packaged rice, you need more machines. So that means more investment, right?
Right.
Given the quantity of goods and services, a part of it is consumed which satisfies the human wants. Okay, so goods and services, a part of it is consumed. Whatever is not consumed is used for further production, and it results in capital formation in the economy. If the production of goods and services is more, it is likely the consumption will be more, and the investment will also be more. Okay?
Okay.
The larger is the surplus, the larger is the productive capacity of the economy. So, surplus means extra. Okay?
Okay.
So, the more machines we have for producing packaged rice, larger will be the productive capacity of the economy. So, we'll try to give an example for some sentence from some rule you don't understand, right?
Right.
Okay, so, what is it, right?
Right.
You understood?
Yeah, understood.
So, we'll continue with this, right?
Yeah, I will continue.
So, we did one part that is for the syllabus, one chapter. We'll take up the next chapter tomorrow. I'll call you tomorrow, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Good night.
you. Bye.
Good night.